Welcome back, adventurers, to Let's Play Baldur's Gate. When last we left off, we had managed to make our way to the Friendly Arm Inn, but unfortunately we had to fight through another bounty hunter by the name of Tarnish, who was much more formidable than Shank and Carbos. With the aid of Zar and Monteron, we were able to defeat him and make our way inside. A lot has happened since then, but unfortunately I won't be able to show you because I had some recording issues. As a result, I will have to recap all the key events from my trusty journal, starting with our encounter with Tarnish, meeting the proprietors and patrons of the Friendly Arm Inn, all the stories of the bandits who are hunting the South Road and raiding trading caravans for their iron ore, as well as the happenings in the Nashkel mines, in which iron in Nashkel has actually been afflicted by some unknown substance that is causing it to essentially crumble. And Khalid and Jaheira are joining us to look into these matters. We also fulfilled one errand to a woman named Joya, in which we had to get her flame dance ring from a bunch of hobgoblins. We also have an errand from Landrin, who has a house in Beregost, which is currently infested by spiders, which we will need to deal with at a later date. But for now, we're going to be heading south to the town of Beregost. As you can see, we've already explored a fair bit of the outer cloister of the Friendly Arm Inn. And we actually picked up something rather interesting. We actually picked up this, the Wing of Wizardry, which is one of the hidden items throughout Baldur's Gate. Doubles the amount of level 1 spells a mage can use. We don't have a mage in a party yet, but we want to keep that handy for when we do eventually get one. Unfortunately, we can't go straight to Beregost. We have to go through this area first.
It will be done.
And night has fallen. I don't want to wander around in the dark, so I'm going to quick save here, and then I'm going to rest, and hopefully we don't get ambushed on the night, because that can happen when you're sleeping in the wilderness. Hopefully the night is uneventful, but you never know. We were fortunate this time. Anyway, back on the road, and I'm going to make sure everyone's well equipped. They are, although I think we're going to need, might have gotten away with getting a few more arrows, but
Nature's servant is good as done.
I'll do my best.
I'm going to do something differently, even though, interesting thing to note, the order of your party, the person who is at the head of your party is the party leader, and all negotiations basically go through him, or her,
Yes,
depending on which character you have as your leader. But I want Khalid and Jaheira to lead on, while we basically guard from the rear, just in case something happens. Probably be easier if Jaheira and Khalid were at the front of the party.
I stand ready. Not a problem.
But, well, being the protagonist, we are the leader, so hopefully all goes well. Stay fairly close here, because there are bandits and other creatures, such as the gibberlings, that you'll need to deal with. Fortunately, Khalid and Jaheira A very skilled fighter.
Nature's servant for the group.
And surprisingly, these gibberlings had gold. They're basically wild humanoid savages of a kind.
Not a problem.
But they're not too difficult. We still want to be careful because the road is perilous. There's the waypoint down to Beregost.
Hey!
And we actually want to talk to you. See what you have to say. Must us to Beregost, I must. Governor Keldarth must be told of the extra troops being sent his way. Beregost is to be garrisoned in case of Amish attack, though Amish denied such intent. Of course they would deny it, snakes. Make way for the messenger. And I believe you're heading in the wrong direction there,
You
good
have
sir.
need. I'll do my best.
Beregost is south. You were running
Yes,
all the way
not
to
a
the
problem.
north. Maybe he was heading to Baldur's Gate.
Yes, as you direct.
I stand ready. It will be done.
Anyway, we'll continue making our way south. There's a boy over there.
You funny looking.
Relax, kid. I don't want to hurt you. Can't really blame him for that. Bandits hunting caravans and tricking people. But anyway, we made it to Beregost unscathed.
Good day, Beregost.
Fine day to you, sire. Such a fine day, wouldn't you say?
What do you need?
There's someone to greet us. Golland Vin. Need directions? You seem a friendly sort, so thought I'd offer my services as a guide. What do you need from the town of Beregost? Certainly we need directions. If you could direct me to an affordable inn, I would very much appreciate it. We have many inns for the frugal adventurer. The Red Chief has basic rooms, though the clientele is a touch rowdy. There's also the Burning Wizard and the Jovial Juggler, which also have finer suites. The Red Chief is a bit nearer the centre of town, as is the Burning Wizard. The Jovial Juggler is a bit further along and sits on the southern edge of town. What's the nicest inn in town? The finest inn would have to be Felposts, though it is also quite friendly. Lots of local colour. Felposts Inn is in the lower west side of the town. I need some well-made weapons and armour. Do you have a good smithy? We have the best smithy in all the realms. Torum Thunderhammer Fuarum runs the Thunderhammer smithy in the eastern side of town. Here's a few exceptional items as well, though you could also check Felpost Inn. They carry trophy items, though you'd best be rich as kings. Felpost Inn is in the west, closer to the south. Where's a good tavern? A drop or two to ease your spirits. The Burning Wizard and the Red Chief are in the centre. And he's just basically telling us where everything is again. Thank you very much, good sir. It's very helpful, telling us where everything is in Beregost. Hopefully, we won't have to worry too much about trouble here. Though we want to keep as low a profile as we possibly can.
Feel the sting in my boot if you bother me further.
The person is apparently having a disagreement with someone. I want to get down this way. I believe we want to make our way to, I believe Felpost is down here. We want to go there first. Then at some point we want to head to the blacksmith, Toru.
I'm actually quite shy.
Someone up there. We'll actually want to listen to what he has to say in a moment. But not right now. Instead, let's get out of this weather and inside Felpost's Inn.
Here now, get out. I don't like your type in here.
You tell him, Marl.
Apparently these two don't like adventurers very much. These are Marl and Duncan. I think we would better have a talk to you.
Not a problem.
Are you talking to me?
Hey, I told you to get lost. Ain't no room for ye trouble-making strangers. No need to get all bent out of shape. There's plenty of bar for all of us. Hey, I take whatever shape I want. I'm sick of you freakish adventurers going out consorting with God knows what, and dragging your trouble back into my hometown. What do you say to that? I just do what I think is right. We solve a lot more trouble than we cause. Well, very nearly anyways. Haha. Oh, you think it funny, do you? You mess up the local economy with your treasure, you upset the balance of nature, you flash your magic around, and maybe because of it, somebody's son thinks it's fun and goes out and gets himself killed. It's a bad example, and somebody ought to kick your ass for it. Hold on. Everyone goes their own path, and I'll not be held accountable for what the fates deal. He was a good boy until your kind came through town. Filled his head with nonsense, they did, and because of it he's dead. Now why shouldn't I take that out of your hide? The only response I can give is, if you knew him like you think, then ask yourself if he wouldn't have gone anyway. It's a calling you're born with. Nobody gives it to you. Take true. He was going to take over the farm and settle down. Maybe apprenticed with Thunderhammer during the winter. He never wanted to adventure. That was what you wanted, Marl. Fun's fun, but you're blaming these folk for what couldn't be helped. That boy was a firebrand if ever there was. No, he was settling down. He wanted that new plow you brought last year. He got the gold by helping clear kobolds near Olgoth's beard. He wanted to make a difference, make the realms a bit safer. Just like these folk, most likely. My Shantia, why couldn't he just stay home? The realms call and you go. He sounds a fine lad taken too soon, but doing what he meant. If you'll suffer my company, I'll buy a round and toast his memory with you. 'Twould be fitting, I suppose. To Kenar Nelthalen, rest you well. I would like to be alone right now. Well, 'tis the calmest I've seen him in a week. Still, you best move on. Marl ain't known for his steady moves. If you do this correctly, we get 900 experience. 900 experience divided among each of us, as it would seem. So, essentially Jaheira and I are closest to leveling up. Khalid has a way to go, and then I think Emowyn will be not too far behind. Anyway, let's see what the barkeep has to offer.
I got some cheap beer for you.
As soon as
I got some cheap beer for you.
keep a low profile, if you please. Tempers are short for strangers right now. So what do you want? It's got a few rooms. He does have some nice stuff. Amulet of Protection +1, Arrows +2, Battle Axe +1, Composite Longbow, Braces of Defense, Armor Class 8. These items are incredible, but they're sadly very pricey. I actually want to leave this place right about now. Has a fairly nice atmosphere to it.
With ease.
Probably shut the door on my way out. As an interesting thing, we can actually go into one of the houses here. See what's inside.
It's hard to find decent folk nowadays.
That's you. Firebeat Elven here. Ah, you're old Garain Sword, the lonely kid of Candlekeep. Of course, I heard about the loss of Garain, and I must give you my deepest condolences. I hope since you left Candlekeep you've kept up on your reading. Oh, the the world of books. I've heard that a new copy of that wondrous tome, The History of the Fateful Coin, can be had for a pretty penny in one of the stores around here. If you would be so kind as to buy it from an old man like myself, I'd gladly reimburse you. I'd even give you a little bonus to help you in your travels. It must be so hard with Gorion gone. This is just going to be one of those days, I guess. And indeed,
With ease. It will be
despite
done.
its rules, Candlekeep was home. So, I believe we spied the history of the fateful coin in fell posts. So, we want to go
Not a
back in
problem.
here and
You want
get it
some
from
whiskey?
get it from Barkeep. History of the fateful coin, the cheapest item in his repertoire. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Old tales tell that luck plays a crucial role in each person's life. When each newborn baby enters the realms, Timora flips a coin formed from the remnants of the original goddess of luck, Tyke. Bishaba calls it in the air, the moon heads or the cloak tails. If Bishaba is right, that person is cursed with misfortune for the rest of his or her days. If she's wrong, Lady Luck smiles on that child for the rest of his or her life. For some rare beings, the coin lands edge on, and these luckless few can forge their own fates, for they have more freedom over their destinies than the powers themselves. For those of you who don't know, Timora is the goddess of luck and fortune, as well as adventuring, while her sister and other self, Bishaba, is the embodiment of bad luck and misfortune.
So
Have
hard
your
to
turn,
find
good sir.
decent folk nowadays.
You are generous to an old man, so I'll be generous in turn. Let me get you another book in exchange. It is a touch darker than what you've given me, but I get the sense you might enjoy it, nonetheless.
Gorion would be proud of your actions.
Ah, and we leveled up. Oh, and our reputation has increased by 1. We got 300 experience. Now we're fairly popular at the moment, which may not sit too well with Jaheira, as we get as that increases. We want to do
You've
good
a
deeds,
task?
but we want to be as careful as possible. Anyway, that bunch of experience has allowed Jaheira to level up. She gets some extra hit points, but no other skills. So now she is level 2, and something I forgot to mention is the fact that because she is a priest, she actually has access to priest spells. Now unlike mages, priest spells basically don't quite work in the same way as arcane spells when it comes to memorization. Being a druid of nature, I believe Jaheira would most likely serve the god of nature, Sylvanus, and anyone that falls under his. She's got Cure Light Wounds, Remove Fear, and Entanglement memorized at the moment. And a few other spells there. Well, it was nice catching up with Alvin, with Firebeard Alvin here once again. The tome he's given us is indeed much darker than the previous one, The History of the Dead 3. Also known as Knuckle Bones, Skull Bowling, and the Empty Throne. In ages past there was but one god of strife, death, and the dead, and he was known as Jurgol, Lord of the End of Everything. Jurgol fomented and fed on the discord among mortals and powers alike, When beings slew each other in their quest for power and their hatred, he welcomed them into his shadowy kingdom of eternal gloom. As all things died, everything came to him eventually, and over time he built his power into a kingdom unchallenged by any other god. Eventually, however, he grew tired of his duties, for he knew them too well. Without challenge there is nothing, and in nothingness there is only gloom. In such a state, the difference between absolute power and absolute powerlessness is undetectable. During this dark era, there arose three powerful mortals, Bane, Baal, and Myrkul, who lusted after the power Jurgol wielded. The trio forged an unholy pact, agreeing that they would dare to seek such ultimate power or die in the attempt. Over the length and breadth of the realms they strode, seeking powerful magic and spells and defying death at every turn. No matter what monster they confronted or what spells they braved, the three mortals emerged unscathed at every turn. Eventually the trio destroyed one of the 7 lost gods, and they each seized a portion of his divine essence for themselves. The trio then journeyed into the Grey Waste and sought out the Castle of Bone. Through armies of skeletons, legions of zombies, hordes of non-corporeal undead, and a gauntlet of liches they battled. Eventually they reached the object of their lifelong quest, the Bone Throne. "I claim this throne in the name of evil," shouted Bane the tyrant. "I'll destroy you before you can raise a finger," threatened Baal the assassin. "And I shall imprison your essence for eternity," promised Myrkul the necromancer. Jurgol arose from his throne with a weary expression, and said, "This throne is yours. I've grown weary of this empty power. Take it as you wish. I promise to serve and guide as your seneschal until you grow comfortable with the position." Before the stunned trio could react, the Lord of the Dead continued, "Who among you shall rule?" The trio immediately fell to fighting amongst themselves, while Jurgol looked on with indifference. When eventually it appeared that they would either all die with exhaustion or battle on for an eternity, the Lord of the End of Everything intervened. "After all you have sacrificed, would you come away with nothing? Why don't you divide the portfolios of the office and engage in a game of skill for them?" asked Jurgol. Bane, Baal, and Myrkul considered the god's offer, and agreed. Jurgol took the heads of his 3 most powerful liches, and gave them to the trio that they would compete by bowling the skulls. Each mortal rolled a skull across the grey waste, having agreed that the winner would be he who bowled the farthest. Mala the Beast Lord arrived to visit Jurgol at this moment. After quickly ascertaining that the winner of the contest would get all of Jurgol's power, he chased off after the 3 skulls to make sure that the contest would be halted until he had a chance to participate for part of the prize. Bane, Baal, and Myrkul again fell to fighting as it was obvious their sport was ruined, and again Jurgol intervened. "Why don't you allow Lady Luck to decide, so you don't have to share with the beast?" The trio agreed, and Jurgol broke off his skeletal finger bones and gave them to the players. When Mala returned from chasing the skulls, he found that the trio had just finished a game of knucklebones. Bane cried out triumphantly, "As winner I choose to rule for all eternity as the ultimate tyrant. I can induce hatred and strife at my whim, and all will bow down before me while in my kingdom." Myrkul, who had won 2nd place, declared, "But I choose the dead, and by doing so I truly win, because all you are lord over, Bane, will eventually be mine. All things must die, even gods." Baal, who'd finished 3rd, demurred. "I choose death, and it is by my hand that all you rule, Lord Bane, will eventually pass to Lord Myrkul. Both of you must pay honor to me and obey my wishes, since I can destroy your kingdom, Bane, by murdering your subjects, and I can starve your kingdom, Merkel, by staying my hand. Mala growled in frustration, but could do nothing, and yet again only the beasts were left for him, and Jurgol merely smiled, for he had been delivered. An interesting history of the Dead Three. Speaking of which, Bane, Bal, and Merkel, who have all ultimately perished during the time of troubles, were actually the three thieves of the Tablets of Fate. But it just goes to show that in the Forgotten Realms, even the most evil of mortals can rise up to become gods in their own right. Literally, in this case. But,
Not a problem.
see if it stopped raining. It has not.
Not a problem.
Weather is still dismal. And let's see. There are many things that we can actually do in the town of Beregost. But I believe I'm going to call it there for now. And when we return, adventurers, we shall continue exploring and see what Beregost has to offer us for the time being before we move on to Nashkel. As always, until next we meet.